If you're serious about assimilating to a new culture, follow these 3 rules. So, if you're interested in assimilating to a new culture, the first rule is before you get there, and maybe the first few weeks or months, depending on how long you're there, you need to put your nose to the grindstone and learn the language. Just learn it. You gotta put in the work, learn the language, because you will not experience the country the same way in your native language. You will experience the country solely as a tourist if you do not learn the language. You learn the language, then you can experience it as an outsider, but tourists are going to get the experiencing the culture and the country and the culture in that one language. So first of all, don't learn it from a girlfriend. Don't learn a lesson from a girlfriend. Don't learn the language. You'll end up walking around using girl words, and you'll sound like a girl, and you'll use girl intonation, and when you try and hang out with guys, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb, okay? Instead, I would suggest finding a familiar movie, a movie that you know inside and out, one of your favorite movies. Get this movie translated, not with the subtitles, but actually translated into the second language. And I suggest you watch it over and over and over and over until you can memorize the movie in that second or third language, okay? And this is important for a couple of points, but one, you'll understand how the movie was translated. So in this situation, Americans would have said X, but in this situation, they actually use this language, and you'll come back to that movie and you'll understand, oh, that's why this language, this intonation, formal language, informal language was used. So use that as kind of a guide to help you understand what language fits what circumstances, okay? And lastly, the news. Watch the news, read the newspaper. Watch the news, read the newspaper. If you can understand the news and you can read the newspaper, you can function in the society. It's that simple. That means that you can put on a certain shirt and tie or whatever your formal dress is. You can go into a job interview in that second language and you can function. If you can understand the news and you can read the newspaper, that means that you have a base level of proficiency in that language. Second is, I would suggest you find a father figure or a mentor. Find someone who is invested in seeing you have a good experience in this country. I don't know why this point is. Someone that's invested in seeing you prosper in that country, okay? And the first reason you want a mentor is because the people that you meet through the mentor are going to treat you a certain way. You're not going to meet someone off the street that is going to just randomly want to help you, I don't know, build a business or meet contacts or whatever it is. So if you meet a mentor, you grow to have a kind of a relationship with this person. If you meet someone through that person, then you will have a totally different experience. That person will treat you differently. A whole myriad of things will be the case if you are introduced to someone else from a respected person in that given area, okay? And second, a mentor is going to show you the ropes. So if you have trouble, you might have legal trouble, you might have trouble with, I don't know, customer service or hotel or something like that, you can lean on the mentor to not just help you with the situation, but they can kind of, you know, through back channels or people that they know, they can reach out and have the situation dealt with in a fair manner that maybe you couldn't have otherwise if you didn't have someone that you could rely on as a father figure / mentor, okay? And the last point, of course, is, and I can attest to this in this country, look, there are parts of the country you're just not going to see if you don't if you don't have a mentor. And on the other side of that, if you do have a mentor, there are some very interesting places that you can get into, some very interesting things that you can see. And I have seen them in this country. If you don't have a mentor, someone that can kind of vouch for you and someone that is like, hey, you know what, he's under my wing, he's cool, I'm gonna let him in here with me, don't worry about it, I got it. And you're going to be able to get into places and do things and see places and meet people that you will not be able to do otherwise. And of course, lastly, it's important to become part of a group of people that are about your age or somewhere your social circle. Try and become part of a group of people. Maybe it's a sports group or a dance group or people that are fans of a certain soccer team or something like that. Just a group of people with a common interest that are about your age that you can rely on as your new social circle. You want to do this because if you find a group of people with a common interest, you're going to be able to move away from people that are your friends or people who are associating with you just because you both speak English. Because that is a commonality, but it's not a big enough commonality in another country to justify your whole social interactions just because of the language that you speak. If you have a common interest with a group of people, you can work your new language into that conversation, and occasionally, of course, you can help them with English. But your interaction with them will not be based on the fact that you speak English. It will be based on something that you will have a need to communicate about in that second language. Secondly, you need to find your equivalent in the language, in that culture. So if you're, middle class working person or something of that nature that's, your mid-30s, try and find the person that is kind of like your social equivalent in that country. And that person is going to see you not as someone who can do something for them or buy something from them, but someone to hang out with, someone to exchange information and I guess stories of the like with, someone that you can hang out with and you can generally become friends because you're essentially social equals from different countries. And lastly, I would say this group needs to become your main group. So if you're going to spend time in a social circle, you should spend time in a social circle of people that are going to be this group that are going to make you speak that language. You're going to relate to people in the country through people in this group. And remember what I said about the mentor earlier. If you are friends, if you have a group of friends in this group, right, this circle, and if you meet someone through a person in this circle, it will be the polar opposite than it would be if you met that person on the street or in a restaurant or something of the like. You want to expand your social circle to the point where you're meeting people through other people. And if you're doing this in the second language, you're going to have a totally different experience. And if you do these three things inside of the first year of being in that new country, it will shape your experience in that country for the years to come. Learn the language, find a mentor, become part of a group. Do those three things and you can have a fantastic, wonderful experience decades after your first year in that new country. That's all for today. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.